welcome back. And let's welcome Dr. Faith Bees Israel, Deputy Chief Secretary and Secretary of Health, Wellness and Social Protection. Good morning, Doctor. Welcome.
Good morning. Thanks for having me here. Wonderful day. Thanks for being here.
Yeah. And just to get, she's a carnival person.
Oh, Lord.
Know. Yeah, we used to chip in, was Fitness on the Road?
Fitness on the Road,
yeah.
Fitness on the Move, and every time you say that, I just think about Salo. May his soul
may his soul rest in peace. But we had some good times.
Yes.
And so on. Anyway,
very
all right, so let's, just so all they don't know that, right? Let's get into it. All right, Dr. Faith, all right, I will get a Tobago allocation. And we know that that is an embarrassment, a slap in the face. You could call it all kind of things. Somebody threw pee on me with that and so on. But let's get seriously into the Division of Health. And let me give commendation. I had to take a relatives to Roxborough for the cataract surgery. And that is ongoing. Just an update as to where we are. Is it the last, I think, just an update on that.
Okay, great. So, good place to start. Yes, this is, well, the first time we did it, it should have been the last. This is really the third or so tranche of it where we are recognizing that there were so many people with cataract who needed the surgery done, who were waiting since before COVID. And it's a relatively easy surgery. It's a relatively, it can be done. It's a daytime, you go home, same day kind of thing. So we decided to spend a little bit of money. It's actually a good chunk of money on it to get these surgeries out. So yes, we have what we recognized last time was that we had people with, when we got them initially, or when we heard about them initially, it was in one eye. By the time they did the first rounds, it was in two eyes, so that we would do one eye, but we did not cater for doing the second eye. So we decided to come back to do the second eye for quite a number of them. And there were a couple spaces, so we allowed a few new people to come in. So that is ongoing. They have been doing their screening. The doctor comes in every couple of weeks or so to do a bunch. So if you do your screening, they will tell you, yes, you're okay for the surgery, and we will call you to schedule when the actual surgery will happen, because the doctor only comes in for a couple of days at a time to knock them out and then go. So we are on that now. We've done by now, it's close to probably 2,000 surgeries by now. Yes, and I meet people all the time who are telling me they did not even realize that they were not seeing until they did the surgery and everything cleared up, everything. So I am so happy that we could have done something like that.
And okay, so when there are folks who want to make their way to Roxborough, however, the service it's not going to be for the end of the year. I think they have to end at some point.
Right. So for the cataract surgery, by the end of this year, that would be it. We are hoping that we would have cleared the backlog by the end of this year, so that if you know developing cataracts or that kind of thing, you should be able to go back to the regular eye clinics, whether it is in Roxborough or in Scarborough, and we would be able to schedule your surgery going forward from then. So by the end of this year is when we would bring to an end that particular program.
Before Mr. Cox, I want to boast with you that the first helicopter or transporting someone was done at the Roxborough hospital.
So that was what
let's
last
talk
week?
That, and let's say the hospital is fully opened, and it have all the necessary apparatus to be fully effective.
So this has been something that has been slow and steady because we needed to ensure that we did it the correct way. I want people to understand this. We were going from a facility that did not exist to one that was built. When we recognized that it was not built fit for purpose. So we had to do quite a bit of retrofitting to make it what it needed to be. And now that the building is the way it needs to be and we have all of the approvals and so forth, we wanted to ensure that the processes were working and they were all working well. So every week or so we would test something to make sure that it working good, it working properly. Yes, what we saw last week or maybe the week before was an actual helicopter coming and land, and we do the transfer and that kind of stuff. Because what we did not want to do was for me to go and run up and say, yes, the hospital open 24/7 and we're good, and then something happens untoward because we did not test the system properly. So that is what we've been doing. Dr. Duke has been an amazing medical chief of staff up there, really managing this whole process. And we actually had some external folks look in while we are doing it to make sure, because when you're inside, you're not really paying attention to all of the different pieces. Somebody who outside looking at you would be the ones who say, hey, you need to do this differently, do that a little bit differently, and so forth. So that is the process that we've been using. So the hospital has been functioning as a 24/7 facility, even though we have not officially launched that is 24/7 just yet, because we wanted to make sure that we worked out all of the kinks.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, thanks for that update there, and probably to the latter part of the conversation this morning, we would probably get an update in terms of the TRHA and stuff. But let's look at the budget. So presented last week Monday, debated on Friday, and of course, you'll continue to go through the proceedings until, of course, the executive in the THA meet and decide how different reallocation will take place. Just a general overview on the national budget. $59 or so billion.
Yeah. So, Mr. 𝐁𝐿𝐿, our amazing, wonderful, are you seeing my eyes rolling? Minister for Finance spent over 5 hours, in essence, abusing all of us, to be honest, because we came back out of it feeling no better than we were going into the 5 hours, 5 and something hours, particularly when it comes to what we in the Tobago House of Assembly have to work with. You know, when you hear the figures about the THA, you have to wonder whether they really understand that we are in this side by side, whether they really understand that we are an island all by ourselves, whether they really understand that, for example, for us to get a patient from Roxborough to Trinidad, we actually need a helicopter. You know how much? Whenever them helicopter fly, you know it's about $100,000 go down the road, just so. Just so. Yes, just so. And those are the kinds of things people do not understand. So when we are saying that because our population size, and population size shouldn't even be what we are using, but let's just use that because that might be the easiest thing to understand, because our population size is closer to the 5.5% of the country, we should at least get $1 due for every Tobagonian, the same way we get $1 for every Trinidadian. That is all that we were asking for. The way you give a Trinidadian every $1, give a Tobagonian every $1, so that we all fit in this and we are all equally taken care of. But of course, that has not happened. And we now have to figure out where we go. We now have to figure out what kind of magic we work. We now have to then, go into the nitty-gritty of saying, these programs we have to shelve, this one we have to focus on, because that is what is required to make this work.
And when we look at fiscal 2024, what was allocated and some of the projects that was done, and let's focus on your division. Of course, infrastructure, we had the shifting of the head office and different stuff, and a lot of programs in between within the last fiscal year. Yeah. Of course, many incomplete. What is the approach? Because let's look at what was allocated, right? So the 2.599 towards the THA, and of course the majority being for recurrent. How does that affect your division?
Right. So when you look at the numbers, you would see that my division get plenty money. That is what it looks like when you look at it compared to all of... No, not nationally. Okay. Compared to my brothers and sister divisions in Tobago. Okay. But that is because a big chunk of that goes to the Tobago Regional Health Authority. So when the Tobago House of Assembly gets money, the money that comes to the division is responsible for taking care of 3 main areas: healthcare, Tobago Regional Health Authority, public health, so the people who do the food inspections and the garbage collections and all of those, and social protection. So every time you see somebody come with they want a food card or a rental assistance or whatever, those are the 3 areas that we have to cover. Of that, the TRHA is really the biggest bit of it. Most people don't recognize that every single month I have to approve sending a check of $42 million every single month at the beginning, well, it kind of just comes close to the end of the month, to be honest, to the Tobago Regional Health Authority. Yes.
And that's for?
That is for them, for the doctors to get paid, for the hospital to run normal, for the basic things. Again, that is recurrent. That is what it takes for the health centers to function every day, for the hospitals to function every day, for when you go, you have a clean bed sheet. That has nothing to do with the buying the new ambulance, buying the new CT scan, buying the new MRI machine. That has nothing to do with those things. Charlottesville Health Center needs to be refurbished. Right. The $42 million and had nothing to do with those things. All of that comes out of the 205 million
billion
capital.
Yes.
Stick up in,
yes,
please.
Brother B, yes.
Let's stick up in, please. The TRHA, as you mentioned, and I wanted to tackle that later on, but you mentioned it now. Mm-hmm. So the TRHA, doesn't that fall under the Ministry of Health?
No.
They allocated $7.5 billion.
No, my dear. No. The Tobago Regional Health Authority gets its allocation from what comes from the Tobago House of Assembly.
Allocation.
And you're saying it, and that chunk comes out of the DP.
To do the new things,
right.
That comes out of the DP. The recurrent, so when you see the 700 million or whatever as recurrent for the division, calculate 42 million of that every month coming out to go to the TRHA.
Wow.
And then we, as in the rest of the division, Public Health and Social Protection, now has to figure out how we're dealing with paying all of the sanitation workers that are there cleaning the road every morning, paying all of the public health inspectors, paying all of the social workers, paying all of the everybody else, and still having to function. That is what a lot of people don't recognize as well, is that when you come to the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection to get your rental assistance, to get your food card, to get your house burned down and you need a fridge and a stove and a this and a that, if the Tobago Regional Health Authority or no other public health facility can do a medical procedure and we need to help you pay for a medical procedure, your foot get cut off and we want to give you a prosthetic toe or something, all of that comes from our recurrent money.
My. So you basically don't have a cent to spare.
You don't. Okay. Not only do you not have a cent to spare, you have to decide what of the things that Tobagonians are calling for, which ones of those things is priority, which ones you will shelve, and which ones you will actually implement. And I want to use a specific example from us. We know that we have the task force in Tobago, part of the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection. They are part of public health. They are the ones who have AC breakdown and that kind of stuff. They are the ones who do that. We also have the mechanic shop who fixes all of our vehicles and that kind of stuff. I am sure you all were part of the media houses that reported on a protest that was happening up Signal Hill a couple months ago or so. Now, that is because our task force, for example, have been working literally out of a shed. And when I say a shed, I mean literally it is a shed. It is something that block up. It's not even the size of this room, and it is a shed. The garage needs to have a high-ab and those things for them to actually work properly. They have been waiting, and it's one of the reasons, even when they protested, I was like, yeah, if I was them, I would have protested too. Yeah, I am secretary. I look bad for me, but if I was them, I would have protested too. They have been waiting for those things to be fixed for the last 10, 15 years, Brother B and Cox. We're finally at the point now where we are saying, okay, let us fix them because it's really unfair. It is unfair to them. But you know what? Fixing that would be DP. Fixing that would mean we have to spend about $10 million up there to have a proper facility and that kind of thing. Fixing that means now that the programs, for example, that our social protection people needed to get, because you may see a $5 million for that. But remember, I said the thing costs $10 million. And we already start the procurement. We already, that kind of stuff is happening. So with that now being $10 million, it means we have to go back into the books and look at, okay, substance abuse people, you all were supposed to do this training, you all have a 200,000. We're going to have to shelve that because we need to now pull the 200,000 from substance abuse, the 500,000 from gender, the whatever, to make up to get to the $10 million. So you will end up seeing a situation where, at the end of the year, We fixed the task force building and we fixed the garage and that kind of thing. But all of the other social programs that had their plan for the entire year had to be shelved because we can't, because we had to take the money from there to put to over here.
Mr. Cox referred to the national allocation. Well, I am going to quote the figures here. Health is receiving $7.571 billion. How is there any opportunity to access some of this from a national standpoint for Tobago's shortfall, given the vision that you have to deal with certain issues? Is there accommodation for that?
So let me tell you how we get out of that funding. We get out of that funding when, so for example, I'm not sure you've noticed that we have a mental health program that is going to happen on Wednesday or Thursday this week. That is in collaboration with the Ministry of Health. For that mental health program, I think the Ministry of Health was purchasing jerseys.
The Ministry of Health?
Was purchasing jerseys.
And there are far more important things.
So for that, so I'm just using that program as an example. It's a wonderful program. We are going to do it. We are going to enjoy ourselves at our mental health symposium. Of the things that needed to be purchased, so we need to set up the space, we need to ensure that we have the tools, we're going to have some mind games and some tools to help test your stress, and all of that. All of that is going to happen, right? This is a collaboration with the Ministry of Health, and the Ministry of Health is going to get some jerseys. It means that the rest of it, we have to figure it out.
That's it.
That's it. So when we say that the Ministry of Health is doing these things and is spending all of these billions of dollars and so forth, unless there is a specific project, for example, where there is a direct collaboration and the Ministry of Health is putting in resources in the collaboration that's happening in Tobago, it's coming from our money.
All right. Yeah. Well, just staying quickly with the allocation for health nationally. All right. So
let me just also say, though, remember, because we are Division of Health, Wellness, and Social Protection, you can't just look at what is going on at Health, Ministry of Health.
All right.
You have to also look at what is going on at Ministry of Social Development. Exactly.
All right.
Because we have to also compare. We are now analogous to what they are doing in Tobago.
All right. Well. So, for example, someone you have to fly out, as you said, the helicopter costs X amount. From the time they start that engine, where does that to pay the helicopter, where does that, is it national or is it from the teacher?
No, that comes out of the Tobago Regional Health Authority allocation. And by the way, is the way the helicopter people does be calling. Well, when I got here, we, as in the Tobago Regional Health Authority, had owed them so many millions at the helicopter. I don't know where they find my number. They were calling and we tried our best. So for example, when we got the first year, when we went into mid-year review, you know, when you do the mid-year review and the Minister of Finance gives Tobago an additional allocation in mid-year review, we actually used quite a bit of that to clear off the old helicopter bills and so forth. That is why, for example, all of the contractors and them that need to be paid, we couldn't, because we have all of these bills that were backed up, that were outstanding, that needed to be paid. So no, that comes from the Tobago. Every time you see a helicopter fly back and forth between Roxborough now, thank God, or Scarborough and Trinidad, that figure comes from the Tobago allocation.
Okay.
Okay, and just looking back at the presentation on Monday, and you mentioned Roxborough again, the minister is quoted as saying the THA intends to fully operationalize the Roxborough Hospital with digitized health services, equipment upgrades, and social program expansions. Yes,
yes. So when he says that, so when the minister says that, it's because he read that in the document that we sent to him. And the funding that is coming from that, coming to do that, will be coming from the Tobago House of Assembly, because we are on a drive. You see, the Tobago Regional Health Authority already has some of its processes digitized. If you go to the lab, you realize they would read out, it's a printed out report that you would get, that is relatively digitized. If you go to the pharmacy, that is a relatively digitized thing. But if you go to the wards, they still have to do your notes with hand. Your medical records and that kind of stuff is still by hand. So we are on a drive to actually digitize the whole thing. When I speak with the IT people and so forth, we are talking about to start the process at $10 and $15 million to get us up to speed, to expand the program that we are doing and so forth. All of that, yes, all of that is coming from the Tobago allocation. So even if he speaks about it and it sounds as if it's coming from Trinidad, he's only reading it because it's what we wrote and sent to them.
Right. And just a ballpark figure, because if I refer to the budget proposal by the Chief Secretary earlier this year in June, 879 million for health. Of course, that was based on a bigger pie of a bigger national budget figure. What is a ballpark figure to satisfy a fiscal year for the division? And I understand too that you wouldn't necessarily look at one fiscal year in your planning. You look at several years. But what is a ballpark figure if you are to see?
So the figure that we sent is the figure that when we worked with all of our project implementation people and all of our technical people in the division, the figure, the 800 something that we sent down, that is what we thought would be a reasonable thing to send. And by the way, getting to that figure meant we actually sat and decided to cut to get it down to the 800 and something million. So when we are now basically 100 million less than that, with only 20 something, and that's the thing, that's the part people need to understand. Of that 700 and whatever it is million dollars, we are talking about a 20-something million dollars for the DP. And remember, the DP money is where you get to do all of these bigger item issues. We have, for example, the ambulances that need to come in. There are ambulances that have already been shipped. We are right now just waiting for Ministry of Health to give the approval that they can go on the road and that kind of thing. But that is only 4 ambulances. We need at least 12, at least on the island. Each ambulance is $1-point-something million. So look at that, 20-something million. Right. And an ambulance alone is $1-point-something million.
Yeah, we're talking about it. Let's go now to, all right, so you have to reschedule or shift around priorities. Reprioritize.
Yes.
What is not priority number 1 in the division, right? And I want to go to social protection, because we have some mental issues where children are taking their lives and that sort of thing. But let's go quickly to that whole reprioritizing. What would be number 1 on the agenda for health, the division of health?
Right. So what we have been doing is looking at of the projects that we have, which ones we will mainly focus on. We have, for the division entirely, we have a project that we want to come out with a major, I'm not going to call the name yet because we want to do a big announcement, a major medical training institution in the United States who we want to partner with us to help us with our problems that we're having with heart attacks and that kind of thing. And when we roll out that program, it includes a treatment mechanism, it includes a preventative piece as well. And because the things that help prevent heart attacks also helps prevent diabetes and so forth, we expect it to have a wider range. So that is one of the projects we hope to roll out next fiscal, this fiscal, we're already in October, with that external entity. We'll make a big announcement about that when we sign the contract and all kind of story. We also want to do, again, for TRHA, we want to implement like a baby box kind of thing, which means we want to have every mother who comes out of the hospital comes out with a package that says this is what you need for your children. So we usually do it for, like, the Christmas Day babies, the New Year's Day babies, and that kind of thing. But we recognize that quite a number of our mummies are going home to families where they honestly don't have the diapers, they don't have those simple things.
So we
want to put that in place, so at least everybody, that once you have a baby in our facility, you're going home with something. You don't have to worry about at least the first couple months with these things. So that is something that we want to work on as well. Going back to public health part, it really is time for us to work on rehabilitating what's happening up at Signal Hill. As I said, with those people who are mechanic workshop, the task force people and that kind of stuff. So we really want to roll out doing that kind of construction up there so that they could work in dignity, they could work in some decent spaces. And of course, the digitization that we are hoping to roll out. TRHA is on one end, but we also want to digitize the social protection part of it, so that if you need a food card, for example, and you need to send in your ID and whatever, you could actually take a picture of it on your phone, send it in, the social workers would pick it up in the division. They will then come to your house and do the necessary assessments and so forth, but you don't have to catch a car from Belgan to come to town to bring a ID because it is there. Right. And we are hoping, that is one of the projects that we are hoping to start soon, because the good others beg. Others beg and others beg good. So we have spent the last 2.5 years begging different people for different things, and we have one of the agencies.
Who are these people?
I can't.
You can't give. Okay.
I can't say that just yet.
It's private sector.
So we have all of these big international agencies.
Okay.
So we've been begging private sector, we've been begging international agencies, we've been begging. When I'm ready to launch it, you go, here it's cool.
All right. Okay, fine.
Right? All right? And those are the things we want to focus on.
All right. Well, I don't want to use the word begging, but what about, as you mentioned, social protection? What about the Ministry of Social Development and Family Services? What is the collaboration like? Because, I mean, they too would do a number of initiatives, and there's some way in from a national standpoint, including Tobago.
So what they invest is simple. There are certain grants when you are national grants. So the old age pension, the disability grants, those grants, those are administered by the Ministry of Social Development. So when you get an old age pension in Tobago, that money is coming from nationally. That's not coming from us. Although the staff in Tobago are paid by us.
Okay.
And, we are the ones there in our building, they're paying the rent. So they are, in theory, they are THA staff implementing the processes for the national level. So that is where Tobago gets a bite of the cherry from those national huge grants. But those grants, again, just want to be clear, those are the senior citizens, the disability, those types of grants. If you are coming to us, though, because your house burned down and you need a rental assistance for 3 months while you get yourself together, that's coming from THA.
Okay. And borrowing just a few minutes to deal with, to get a response from the Deputy Chief Secretary, because, I mean, crime is an issue that is plaguing us. And as you continue to mention social protection and different social offerings, and yesterday I saw a comment with you speaking about mediation and that kind of stuff. Where does the crime situation fit in from the THA standpoint? Right. And even you can put back on the Secretary of Health cap to answer in terms of some of what the division would roll out in assistance based on what is provided with the application.
Right, so we do have some programs, and they're working very well to help us with our crime situation. So part of the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection is the Mediation Center, for example. And a lot of people don't recognize that you can come to us. Oh yes, I commented on your show yesterday. Yes. If you have a situation where you and a neighbor fighting for piece of land or whatever, instead of getting it to the point where you're pulling swords, you can actually come to the division and have a mediator sit with you to work this out. As a matter of fact, in many instances, when you take them to court, if you choose to go the court route, the court will actually mandate that you come to our mediation center to work it out instead of working it out in the court. We also do programs that include parenting and so forth. So let's just say even, Children's Authority had to take a child for whatever reason. They then mandate that you come to our division again to go to a parenting class that we roll out over a period. And then our social workers and our mediators and our therapeutic counselors work with you. We then have to write a report back to Children's Authority or back to the court, the Children and Family Court, to say, yes, Mr. So-and-so or Miss So-and-so, they've done the work. They can get back the child. All of that is what we do. By the way, those programs that people have to come into the division to participate in and so forth, all of that comes from our money too. So you had to buy, you had to get them breakfast and lunch because of the whole day and thing. Or you have to get the educational material to give them. All of that is coming out of our allocation as well, even though the court is who sent them.
You mentioned mental health issue, a program you have upcoming.
Yes.
And let's focus there, because there's some real issues where people are have challenges that they really...
Serious challenges.
All right, so let's bring that into focus. Obviously, that division, well, not that division, that area of your responsibility needs some serious focus. Finances as well. Let's talk about some of the programs that you have planned and what is already existing.
Right, so one of the things I encourage people is, you know, in Trinidad and Tobago and in the Caribbean, we really don't appreciate the idea of going to seek counseling. We have a therapeutic counseling unit within the division that allows you to come in and free of charge to seek counseling. And we are encouraging people to come in and do that. We also have a gender unit that helps us work with people who are dealing with domestic violence issues and so forth. We also work very closely with the probation services, where, you know, part of the court mandate is to do these probationary services. That is also part of the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection that we have rolling out. So what we really have been trying to do is to ramp up those areas. We spent the last year or two getting more people employed, so hiring more social workers and that kind of stuff to do this kind of stuff. We also spent it doing a little bit of restructuring of the division so that it makes a little bit more sense. We also now have a new director of social protection who would help us to really help us work through that. But that is, of course, the social protection part. At the Tobago Regional Health Authority, there's the entire mental health unit that you can go to up the hospital and in Bacalet and so forth to get your medication and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And I guess, I mean,
we cover a lot.
Yeah, we covered a lot, but I'm surprised of the arrangement with regards to the TRHA as opposed to all the other regional health authorities from a national standpoint. And I mean,
listen, we are at the point, so we're talking about that, and this is why when, for example, the Chief Secretary speaks about the fact that we are the ones who would help the police and the prison rehabilitate the prison, or help army rehabilitate their base. And that is not our responsibility. It's out of the same money that we're taking out to do that, because we want to make sure that we prisoners in decency, that we army boys up there in decency. That is what we're talking about. So I want people to understand that it is not that we are just here bawling, we want more money because we want to live lavishly. By no means do we want to spend $50 million on entertainment, as the Prime Minister is able to do.
But you're all right, so clear. And what about,
yeah, well, I was going to ask you, well, seeing that you segued there, as the Deputy Chief Secretary, we are hearing in the space that accountability we had the senator here last week, and Mr. Hislop, spoke directly to, yes, the money is not enough, but the administration should answer to the question about
accountability.
How do you respond?
You know, as a man who claims to be of God, he really needs to pray that God will strike him down. Let me be honest. Because a big chunk of our problem now is the fact that we have so many people who his party procured to do things and did not pay them. So we now have over $1 billion inherited of bills that we have to figure out how to pay. And the Minister for Finance is very clear. He does actually laugh when he says, no, that is not our problem, that is all your problem, even though it is his party who was responsible for racking up all of those bills that is causing us to be in this position. If we did not have to worry every single month about a contractor going on TV to complain that we did not pay them for a job that we did not even hire them to do, we would be in a better position now. So the senator needs to really, really think through what he's saying. The senator needs to repent and pray God's forgiveness, because that level of hypocrisy has to be assailed.
All right. And Brother B, I know we had a wrap, but the information is provided here with regards to the health authorities. The Tobago Regional Health Authority is unique in that it is subject to the Tobago House of Assembly Act. the RHA Act number 5 of 1994, and it's quoted as saying, in the exercise of its powers and functions, the board of the Tobago Regional Health Authority is subjected to the provisions of the Tobago House of Assembly Act. I was just struggling to
understand that.
Yeah. Dr. Faith, we want to thank you for being here with us this morning, and we want to wish you all the best. And of course, you can't wait to enjoy your carnival.
Of course,
You're playing mass? Who are you playing?
I am not playing mass. I don't think I'm playing mass. The Hudson story doesn't really work for me.
Right.
But I usually go, the Sunday is usually the same day as my mom's church anniversary.
Okay.
So I usually go to that, and then maybe later in the evening.
All right, okay. All right, and I'll only ask her because she's chipped nicely on the road. All right, thank you, I get all the best. We go for the break. When we come back, lots more. See you then.